We all love it when we get positive publicity. People say good things about us and our business. This is great. It helps your business grow. But what do you do when the opposite happens? Something you many times don't expect that's negative and ends up being spread all around. A few years back in Chicago, I was watching the news on television, and right on the screen comes a picture of this restaurant, and the announcer says, "Have you eaten here lately?" I didn't really pay attention. Then it caught my eye, and I said, "Wait a minute, I had lunch there 2 days ago." It turns out that a mouse ran across a lady's leg that day at lunch. And it ran across the restaurant. The other people saw it, ran into the wall somewhere. Everybody knew it was still there. Well, of course, the ladies started screaming, jumping up. The men got up. Everyone started going to the door. The owner come out and says, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do now?" Something happened that he didn't expect. Well, the health department was called. They were there about 2 hours later. And of course, when they were examining the kitchen and really inspecting the whole restaurant, they found other dirty areas, a few other bugs, old food. He had let this restaurant go. And right now, he was going to have to pay the price for it because the media, of course, showed up and took pictures of everything. And of course, it was on the news, in the papers, on the radio. His restaurant was sort of the place not to go eat. Well, the health violations, he could have probably solved those within about 2 days, 2 to 3 days, had a cleaning service come out, clean this place from top to bottom. But he decided to go one step further. He decided he wanted to make some remodeling changes. And now is a good time to do it. So he called all his remodeling people, and he had the cleaning service come out here as well, which had 2 big white trucks. Now, he didn't park them close to the restaurant. He parked them at the other end of the parking lot near Roosevelt Road, one of the main arteries in the Chicago suburbs. And he wanted everyone that went by there that looked over and said, "Hey, there's that restaurant that we saw on television." But he wanted those trucks there to show that they were cleaning. But not 2 days, not 3 days. He had those trucks stay there for 3 weeks while he was finishing his remodeling inside. He must have paid them to leave those trucks there, because everyone that came by, maybe every day on their way to work, would look over that way, but they'd see those trucks cleaning. They knew something was going on in there. Well, he finally finished his remodeling, got some new equipment, some new furniture, did some painting, and of course cleaned this place from top to bottom. And he was trying to get that media back out there again. But this time, it was not a big story like it was the first time. You know how news stories go. They wanted to hear the worst, not the best. Now he was clean, ready to open, everything was perfect. He had to beg that media, the newspapers, the radio, the TV stations, to come out there with their cameras. But he got a whole bunch of people, almost enough to fill the restaurant, the day before he was going to reopen. And he offered them a free lunch, anything on the menu. He even added a few new items. And before they sat down for lunch, he took them on a tour in the kitchen, the back room, the bathrooms, put on a white glove, and checked everything to make sure that it was clean. And it was immaculate in there. He wasn't going to let this happen before, like it did before. And he sat them down, they all ordered their lunch, and about 4 or 5 minutes into the lunch, he came out into the center of the restaurant and said, "Get your cameras ready." And he got down on his hands and knees, and he licked the floor. He really licked the floor to prove that he was clean. And he told everyone, "If you didn't get a picture that time, I'm going to do it again in 30 seconds. Get your cameras ready." And he did it again. Pictures were taken, video was taken, and many people used that on their TV stations that evening, in the newspapers, on the radio. This was news. You don't see too many people licking a floor in a restaurant. So he had made news. Now, he didn't turn around and run away from his problems. He took responsibility. He didn't make excuses. He did what he had to get back on people's good fortune. He wanted everyone to know this restaurant was in perfect shape. And when it reopened the next day, he was almost full that first day. I went there for lunch 2 days later. I had to wait in line to get in. He had turned this restaurant around by taking responsibility and doing what was necessary. And doing that little extra, not the minimum, that little extra. And we can all do this in our businesses, that little bit of extra that makes us stand out from people. And we're always going to have something that isn't going to work right. But you got to take responsibility and make sure that you turn things around.